Section 2 on ancient Greece is about Greek religion, philosophy, and literature. Pericles was the leader of Athens. Athens adopted democracy as their form of government. The arts, literature, and drama flourished in Athens. From 479 to 431 BC marked the golden age of Athens, when Athens grew rich from trade and silver mined by slaves. Tribute, which is another term, guys, or payment, which means taxes, was paid to Athens by other city-states for protection. Pericles was the leader of Athens during this time and oversaw some of Greece's amazing achievements in the arts, philosophy, and literature. Pericles came from an aristocratic family and was very well educated. Pericles instituted an important reform that allowed people to be paid for service to the government, which meant that poor people could hold public office. Okay, look at these beautiful pictures. And you can see this is the artist Raphael, okay? And this is a painting of the school in Athens. And over here you see Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle. Remember, Aristotle was the teacher for Alexander the Great, and Plato was his student. And now you can see, of course, theater. Theater was invented by the Greeks. And you see the comedy and the tragedy masks. And you can see the theater in the round outdoors in Greece. And, of course, the architecture. See all these columns? You can see columns like this all around our country, especially in Washington, D.C. So after the Acropolis was destroyed in 480 BC, Pericles had it rebuilt, along with other new buildings. The Parthenon, a temple to the goddess Athena, was made of fine marble with rows of columns surrounding it. A statue of Athena stood in the center, which stood 4 stories high, made of wood, ivory, and gold. And here you see on the right the beautiful statue of Athena. Of course, it's no longer there, but this is the way it looked when it was first made. And to the right, the upper left, you see a painting of the Parthenon, this majestic temple. And here at the bottom is the actual Parthenon that you would see today. The Greeks enjoyed their sculpture to be extremely realistic and beautiful. The great statue of Athena disappeared long ago, although the inside and outside sculpture still exists. Greek statues always showed their subjects in full action, because they wanted to show balance and they wanted to show very realistic, lifelike images and accurate and correct images. The gods and goddesses were shown as perfect views of humans and animals and were immortal, which means they live forever. And if you can just see these beautiful statues and the motion that they're in is this discus thrower. The Greeks worshipped a family of gods and goddesses called the 12 Olympians. The gods were immortal, meaning that they lived forever. In addition to the 12 gods, the Greeks worshipped lesser gods and heroes, like Achilles from the Trojan War. And here is a fantastic sculpture of Achilles. Notice the arrow in his heel shows his weakness, called the Achilles heel. Greek science and philosophy. Philosophers were people who figured out new ways to understand their world. Thales believed that water was the basic material of the world. He was right. Democritus thought that everything was made of tiny particles called atoms. He was right. Socrates wanted people to consider the true meaning of justice and courage. Socrates was brought to trial and eventually committed suicide with poison while he was in prison. The Athenians were the first people to write theater or drama. Tragedy is a serious story that ends in disaster for the main character. Comedy were stories that made fun of well-known citizens and politicians and the customs of the day. So you can see on the top right a picture of a Greek theater, outdoor theater. And here are some very famous works, dramatic works such as Oedipus Rex, Electra, Medusa, and Antigone, all Greek-inspired stories. Okay, what are the key ideas to remember? What was the Golden Age of Greece? During the Golden Age, Pericles built beautiful temples and sculpture in Athens from 479 to 431 BC. A tribute was collected from other Greek city-states in payment for the Greek army as protection against invaders. What new ideas did the Greeks discover? Greek scientists and philosophers advanced the culture by discovering that water was the basic material of life. That was Thales. That atoms are the makeup of all solid substances. That's Democritus. And that people must consider the true meaning of truth and justice. Socrates. What is theater? Plays that were put on for the entertainment of citizens. There are two types of plays, tragedies and comedies. A tragedy is a serious story where the main character is met with disaster. A comedy is a humorous story that makes fun of the customs of the times.